All right, if you're seeing this video, there's a good chance you're searching YouTube because you're having problems out of your truck too. What's going on with this thing? This is a 2007 F250 with a 6.0 liter, and I'm having some issues out of the fuel gauge, and I finally got a warning light yesterday. What has happened is a couple weeks ago maybe, it started acting up when I jump in it, turn the key on. The fuel gauge wouldn't move, and then it might be running for just a couple of minutes or 5 or 10 minutes. It's done it a few times now. Then the fuel gauge would bounce up, and it would be pretty accurate, I think, about where it should be, because I kind of watch my trip meter, see how many miles I get out of the tank. So it did it yesterday, and it threw up a check engine light finally. So I'm gonna turn the key on here. Well, the gauge went up, and that's probably pretty accurate. It should have about 3/4 of a tank. So anyhow, I don't have a reader or anything like that. I'm no mechanic. Let me just tell you that, guys, right off the top here. I'm just as qualified as most other people on YouTube, you know, to make videos. I don't really know what I'm talking about. So this is the experience that I'm having. Anyhow, yesterday it throws up a warning light, check engine warning. I take it over to O'Reilly, get them to plug it in, and it's got 3 codes on it. Now, 2 of them I think are probably related to the fuel gauge. One of them is not. Pull up my little note here. The codes that it has is a P0460 and a P0463. It also has a P0611, which is probably unrelated, but the 0460, through the research I did online, is there's a discrepancy from the computer, for lack of a better term. There's a discrepancy between the computer and the fuel gauge. The 0463 is related to that sending unit, and it's something about the high limit switch or high limit amount, or I don't exactly understand that, but apparently those 2 codes go hand in hand when you're having trouble out of your sending unit. I'm going to show you what I'm going to try before I have to dig into the tank. Anyhow, this is what I'm going to try. So this on the back of it says, you know, it's God's gift to diesel engines. You know, if you read any of these things, it's going to fix everything. You know, clean injectors, clean the whole system. You know, probably fix broken valves, and you know, just they say they're going to do everything. Well, I've got a feeling that it's not going to do everything, but I'm going to try it before I have to pull the bed off of that truck and get in the tank. It's going to be worth trying this. Now, I picked this stuff up. I figure I'm going to dump one in the tank now. It says to dump it in a nearly empty tank and then fill it up with fresh fuel to like 20-25 gallons. It will treat up to 35 gallons. I'm going to guess I got about 25 gallons in it probably. So I'm going to just go ahead and dump it in now, because it's going to take me a long time to run that through. And then for the next 3 more tankfuls, I'm going to run this stuff in it. You know, every time I fill a tank up, I'm going to, or maybe even just do like a half tank. Maybe I'll put this in now, run it in, you know, basically empty, put in a half tank, drive it around on this one, put in a half tank when that gets empty, put in a half tank when that gets empty, and we'll see how this does here. So this video, I'm starting it right now, is in early December, and it might take me a while to get through this. We're going to see if this process works. If it does, it might save you guys a bunch of money and labor and hassle, and we'll just go from there. So I'm going to take this over to the truck. I'm going to pour this down into it, and I'll catch you guys up here in a few weeks. All right, well, it's about a week and a half or 2 weeks later. Ran that first, I guess it was about a 3/4 of a tank through it. Haven't had any more issues with the fuel gauge. So today I got down to about 1/4 of a tank. Don't want to push my luck because I really don't trust that gauge just yet. So I topped it off, and I'm going to put in the second treatment of the Techron diesel. Well, I don't know if I've been keeping track of the dates or not, but today is January 16, and I just filled up a couple days ago, and I forgot to put the stuff in right away, but truck's basically been sitting here since I filled it up, so haven't hardly run any of the new tank through it. I'm gonna go ahead and dump this. I think this will be the 3rd treatment of this stuff. Now, the truck hasn't been acting up. It's been a while, but this last tank, when it got down to about 7/8 or 3/4 of a tank, the fuel gauge went on the fritz for a little bit. It was reading 0, and drove it around for about a half a day, and then realized that it was working again. So I don't know. We'll see how this goes. All right, guys. Well, today is January 31, 2019. I don't know if I was keeping track of the dates on the rest of these little video clips or not, but just filled up truck yesterday, brought it home, and this will be the fourth and final treatment of this Techron stuff. And you can tell it's been sitting around, just evidenced by the dust there. So this has been a, I don't know, this has been a months-long project. And this last tank full, I don't know if the fuel gauge messed up on me. I did not notice it, but I did figure out my mileage from this last tank full. I figured it up last night when I first come home from the station, and I want to say it was like 11.5 miles per gallon. So this thing, like I think I said early on, it's got the check engine light on, and that came on for low fuel. And when I had the codes read, I think there was something to do with also with the fuel injection control module. And this thing it's also been kind of, it idles a little bit rough. When you first start it up for just, I don't know, maybe the first 30 seconds, it kind of runs kind of rough, and it seems like it's worse when it's cold. And, you know, we're in January now, so I'm noticing a whole lot more. So I'm wondering if that fuel injection control module, you know, it's got that code on there along with I think 3 other codes for this whole deal with the sending unit. I wonder if maybe that fuel injection control module has got something going on really wacky with it, and it's causing my mileage to be bad. You know, 11 point something, I think it was like 11.5 or 11.8 miles per gallon. That's pathetic. So I'm thinking maybe I'll change that fuel injection control module, and maybe my fuel mileage will get better. Should. I hope it wouldn't get any worse. But as far as this stuff working on the just to clean up the sending unit, you know, that's what we're doing with this. So, well, guys, you can see the low fuel warning there, and it's reading 0. This is the first time I've driven the truck since we filled it up last week. I just backed it out of the garage here. It's February 7th. Like I say, I only drive it about once a week. So I think I'm on the 4th treatment now. So we'll see if it gets any better by the end of this tank. I know this tank is full though, so we'll be safe to drive it around for today. There's 2 things going on with this truck. One is the fuel gauge. It gets to about 7/8 of a tank, and it'll drop off. There's like a dead spot in it. It says low fuel, and the fuel gauge drops all the way to E. So I've been treating with that Chevron Techron diesel. It's supposed to be able to clean that, actually clean the contact surfaces up on the fuel sending unit. I did, I think, 4 treatments of that. Today is like March 22nd or 23rd, 2019. And you probably have seen those clips right before this of those different dates of treatments. I've been fighting that for months. The other thing's going on with this truck, and I kind of touched on it, or maybe I didn't, I don't know. It's kind of a rough idle when it first starts. And again, I was kind of hoping that Techron diesel would take care of some of that, clean the injectors up. It did not. I did a little research and found that I found the Torque Pro app, so I got that on my phone now, and I plugged it in, and the fuel injection control module was only drawing like 27 or 30 amps, something like that, or volts. So it was the fuel injection control module, whatever the numbers were, was lower than it should have been. It should have been 48. So I replaced the board on my fuel injection control module, which there's a bunch of videos. Diesel Tech Ron does a couple of really good videos on that. So I got my voltage up on the fuel injection control module. Seemed like it helped it maybe a little bit on the cold start. But now it's still doing it. I'm wondering if maybe it's an injector stiction. I don't know. I'm grasping at straws here. So anyhow, I did the Techron diesel for 4 treatments. I've been doing the last couple of tanks. I've been running this Diesel Clean cetane boost stuff through. And now I found on that powerstrokehelp.com all the videos that guy makes. Started seeing where he's, I don't know how long he's been pushing this Arch Oil stuff. But then I went to Arch Oil's website, and there's a couple of videos from Jay Leno's Garage on there also, where they're talking about the benefits of this stuff and how it's like, you know, they had some part in one of their race cars that this part would wear out every race, and they started using this oil friction modifier in this race car, and now they went to the last 3 races and they haven't worn that part out, and they just checked it, you know, like the last time, and it's still good. So they're getting like 4 times life out of this some kind of part, I don't know. So anyhow, pretty compelling stuff. I'll update you guys. I'll go ahead and I'm going to dump this whole bottle, goes in the oil, and I just changed the oil, I don't know, a couple 100 miles ago, so should be good. So I'll dump this whole bottle in the oil, and then I'm going to put 2 mils per gallon in the fuel tank, and I'll update you guys when I get a cold start here, maybe tomorrow or next day. All right, so I put the stuff in the oil and I put it in the fuel tank, and I ran a couple of real quick errands. This is 2 days later. I ran a couple of quick errands that night that I did that. And I think total I drove like 11 miles, wasn't much. So yesterday I started this thing up. It was pretty warm out, I guess. You know, it was about 60 degrees, and this thing fired right up. Again today, this will be the first time this has started for about 24 hours or a little more. So this thing's sitting cold, but it's in the garage, and the garage is it was been about mid 50s. So this thing is liable to start up really well, I hope. That's pretty good. It cranked a little longer than I would like, but it didn't stumble at all once it took off. So tonight it's supposed to get down in the 20s. I'm gonna park this thing outside on purpose to get it really cold. So I'm gonna drive it a little bit here. I'll put a few more miles on it, and then tonight I'm gonna park it outside, and we'll get a real good test tomorrow morning. That Arch Oil stuff in a few days ago. I've drove this truck a total of, I think, 59 miles since I dumped the Arch Oil in the fuel tank at 2 milliliters per gallon, and I dumped a whole bottle of the oil stuff into the engine. Last night it got down to 25. Right now it's warmed up to about 33, and I parked this thing outside on purpose last night. Normally it sits in the garage, but I wanted to get, you know, a really cold start to see how that stuff would do. So you're gonna see it with me. This should start up and run like shit. Hopefully that Arch Oil's made a difference. Wait for the glow plugs. That's not great. Check engine light is on because the fuel sending unit has got a dead spot around 7/8 of a tank. That's better than it's been, but I would think it should be better than that. Alright guys, you can see I parked back in the garage again. This is the next day. It's 49 degrees on the thermometer here on the wall inside the garage. Let's see how it does today. Now that's pretty good. I'm pretty happy with that. So maybe yesterday, just it's so damn cold outside, you know, it's just, diesels don't like the cold weather to begin with. But before I did that Arch Oil, this thing would be coughing and puking right now still. I'm pretty happy with that. All right, a few days later, the temperature here in the garage is somewhere between 46 and 50 degrees. Let's see how it does here. That's pretty good. That is a lot better. All right, today's date is May 20th, 2019, and this little problem has been dragging on for months now. I had this truck to the mechanics just a couple of weeks ago for the sending unit. So I got the sending unit straightened out. The fuel gauge is working great. The check engine light has not come back on, so I haven't had any issues there. The temperature in the garage here is about 60 degrees. Again, it's the end of May. It's warmed up considerably. The truck has been running excellent. When I had it at the mechanic, I also asked them to really check on the fuel system, the whole fuel system, because I was telling them how rough it was running, how rough it would idle and start and everything. What I was describing to him, he was saying, you know, how these Power Strokes, and he drives one too, he said these Power Strokes are terrible for injector issues. It sounds like a stiction issue, and he expected to have to replace some injectors. Now, I had made the mistake of, like I said earlier in another clip, I got that Torque Pro app on my phone, and when I was having issues out of the fuel sending unit and the check engine light coming on, I cleared all the codes off of the truck, and I didn't know if it would store any kind of, I've heard of gray codes or whatever. So anyhow, I cleared off all the codes about the time I started running that arch oil stuff through it, and it's running better now that the arch oil's in it, but it's also warming up a lot more. I bought this truck in late spring of last year, so it was warm when I bought it. So it could be that this thing is just starts like crap in the cold because the oil is cold and the injectors don't work as good when that oil is cold in cold weather. But again, when I took it up there, I told them, you know, check the fuel system. I bugged them about it. They had it for a couple days because they were waiting on the sending unit, and I bugged them a couple times about it. You know, hey, really check that, because I don't want to have issues again out of these injectors. I don't want this thing running like crap. If you got to replace injectors, do it. He said he checked it. They put some kind of contribution. They run some kind of contribution test. He said it's only like 3% difference across all the cylinders. He said that's as good as a new one. He said that's way better than he expected. And he said as much as he'd love to sell me a set of injectors, he can't justify doing it. So this thing has been sitting for, well, I was out last night in it. I'm gonna show you what it's been starting up really well, but the weather's been warm. It's 60 degrees. Wait on the glow plugs. No check engine light. Like I say, the fuel gauge's been working great. That was an expensive fix though, just to get that damn gauge working right. That was over $800 for that fix. He said the part was nearly $600, and he shopped around. He couldn't find a good deal, and I believe the guy. I mean, he's always been a real honest, trustworthy mechanic for me. This thing has been starting that good for, I don't know, a while, since the weather warmed up. Now, I would expect that this thing is going to run like crap again. Wintertime comes along and it doesn't have any kind of block heater or battery heater or anything like that on it. So it's going to be good for a few months. I'm sure it'll be fine all summer long into the fall, and then the test is really going to be this coming winter. So I'm going to wrap this video up, guys. I've been saving these little clips to make this video for months now, and I want to get all this shit off my computer and kind of be done with this little project. So I'm going to let all this information slip to the back of my mind and try to forget it, and we'll see what happens this next winter. And, you know, hit that subscribe button if you want to see updates
on the truck. If something does happen, you know, I'll make sure I post some updates. Click the like button if you like this video. Hopefully this helped you out. If you're having issues out of your 6.0 Power Stroke, you know, these are the trials and tribulations that I'm having out of the thing. You know, so I'm just trying to maybe help the next guy out with some ideas. I tried the Seafoam, that didn't work. Did the Diesel Clean, that didn't work. The Chevron Techron, that didn't work. We're on this arch oil crap now. It seems like it's helping, but coincidentally the weather's warming up. So I don't know. We'll see. Time will tell. I ran, I think, 5 tank fulls of that arch oil stuff. The fuel additive at 2 mils per gallon. I did that 5 tank fulls. And now since that, I've been doing 1 ml per gallon for the last few tankfuls. And well, I'll show you the bottle of arch oil. I keep it in here. I just keep it in here now. This is my first bottle, and that's how much I've used of it so far. So I've used a pretty good amount of it. Anyhow, hopefully I helped you here, guys. Until the next video, keep on tinkering.